Welcome to Daryl's Little Corner. We'll be with you every Monday from 7 to 8. We're glad to have with us Mr. Chris Marsalis. Now, you know, most of the time I think, well, folks might not know him, but I think everybody knows you.
They may.
I bet they do.
I've been around here a long time.
I bet they do. Well, you've been real active a long time. But in case somebody don't, just in case, everybody wants to know who they're looking at. Tell us where you're from.
Well,
Going back to basics.
anywhere I go in the world and somebody asks me where I'm from, I tell them I'm from Ripley, Mississippi. But in Ripley, I have to say, well, I grew up and graduated high school in Vicksburg, Mississippi, and then went to college, 2 or 3 different colleges, and then I moved up here to Ripley in early 1989.
What did you study?
I majored in education and got a degree at Ole Miss and taught school for 6 years here in Ripley.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes, ma'am. Taught
Well.
physics and biology and technology, and was assistant baseball coach 1 year and drove a bus.
You've done everything.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing else to do. I'm telling you.
We'll find something.
I don't know. Tell us who your parent. Nobody's going to know who they are, but tell them their names.
Well, my dad is Richard Marsalis, and he retired from Vicksburg and moved up, bought a farm out in Benton County. And my mother is Patsy, and she and my stepdad live near her childhood home in California.
Mm-hmm.
And
California.
my mom was from California, and my dad was from Vicksburg, and he had his first assignment out of college. He got a forestry degree from Mississippi State University, and he got a job working with the California Department of Corrections,
Oh, my.
supervising the replanting of national forest land out there in the mountains. And on the weekends, the foresters would go down into this little dusty little town in the Sacramento Valley called Willows, California. It's a little town just so much like Ripley, you just can't imagine that it's out there, but it's true. Very conservative farming town, pickup trucks and boots and, you know, all of that. And my mother's from Willows, so the forestry guys would go down into town on the weekends, and they ended up meeting and got married.
That's neat. Yeah. Well, let's talk about what. Okay, you worked at DixieNet.
Yes, ma'am.
What'd you do there?
Well, I wound up being director of operations, and of course DixieNet was the first. I don't know if you can't even think about it nowadays, but we had dial-up internet back then, and everybody had 2 phone lines.
that.
Yeah, and
I've been around a long time.
That modem would go dee doo dee doo,
Yes.
and you get connected, and you know the highest, fastest thing that there was 56K dial-up, and so DixieNet was the first company in the state to be able to offer that statewide, and so we deployed all the modems and everything that it took, and eventually started offering phone service and high-speed internet service.
Tony, we're in the dark. Lights. Thank you.
Oh, that's better.
I just looked at the monitor and I thought something's wrong.
There we go.
It happens.
Brightened us
But
up.
yeah, tell us about the DixieNet service.
So DixieNet offered 56K dial-up, first company in the state to do that statewide, and I worked there for 14 years. Was really very interested in the internet and websites and transfer of information digitally, and learned a lot about information technology, and learned a lot about computers and fixing things and how websites work, and network security, ways to protect yourself, and how to build firewalls and do all that sort of stuff. So we had a big time with that, and then in 2011 our former mayor, Kerry Hill, passed away in office. And I just had a couple of people approach me and said, "You ought to run for mayor." I said, "Well, I've never thought about it, but so I thought about it and prayed about it and talked with Melinda. And I said, well, okay, we'll give it a shot." And ended up getting elected and served the last part of that term, which is a 15-month term, and then was elected twice more after that. So it was about 9.5 years that I was in the mayor's office. And in that amount of time, we built, and I worked close with the Board of Aldermen and our state legislators and our federal representation, our U.S. congressmen and U.S. senators, as well as state leaders. We built a brand new sportsplex out there west of town. Beautiful facility.
Yes,
It's 50 acres. Great ball fields. It turned out to be one of the best things that Ripley's done for itself in a long time, because that tournament, baseball and softball business had started really getting big, and it's still pretty big, and that ended up drawing lots and lots of people to town. And of course they would stay and they would eat and they would shop and of course play ball. And so we had,
Well, that sportsplex kind of pays for itself, doesn't it?
it just about does. It really does. You know,
Well, I mean, it's nothing's free,
right,
They pay to play, they pay to watch it,
Right.
and all that goes into
that's right.
the town.
And all the people that come into town to spend money, they buy gas and groceries.
And this is now Ripley's it's a ball town.
That's right.
They love ball.
That's right.
They love ball.
We do.
Everybody's kid or grandkid or niece, nephew, somebody plays ball.
Absolutely.
Everybody's got somebody that plays ball. But it's beautiful out there. Just go out there and look at it.
It is. It's quite beautiful. And then we were able to build a new gym out there, and then we were able to build a Tippah County Veterans Memorial out there, and that's beautiful. I don't know if you've been out
I
to see
hadn't
that.
seen that.
Be prepared to be moved if you go
my.
out there. It's quite a beautiful
Man.
place, and so I had been out there at the park just kind of looking around, and there's a little rise out on the left-hand side of it, on the west side of it, and just walked up there to kind of see what it would look like. And Melinda and I had just spent our anniversary weekend, which happened to be, it's always right around Memorial Day. But we had gone to a little town that had a Veterans Memorial, and really enjoyed the ceremony that they had there on Memorial Day. And I said, boy, there's just no reason that we can't have something like this, or I want a Veterans Memorial here in Tippah County. And so went up on that ridge, and man, I thought this would just be a great place, and just sort of tucked it in my shirt pocket, didn't say anything about it, didn't think anything about it. But then two veterans groups in Tippah County, the VFW and the American Legion, sent a delegation to talk to us about where they might have land that they could put a Veterans Memorial on it. So we did that. We said, well, we got a great place. We went out and looked at it, and it all turned out great. And it, due to the People's Bank and Mr. Bobby Martin, he said, I'm going to pay a good architect to really design this place so that it's beautiful. And so he did. We had 3 architects provide their vision of the park, and then the group met and decided on the one that they liked the best after each architect came and presented it. And of course, he paid for the architectural services and the website, TippahCountyVeteransMemorial.com. It's got a nice walkthrough of the site on there. but you got to go yourself. And then we just kind of got a construction estimate, and it was going to be about $800,000 to build that, and most of it is just in concrete and bricks and stone and that sort of thing. But it's got a really beautiful sculpture at the back part of it. It's got a beautiful flag wall. It's got monuments to each of the conflicts that the United States has been involved in during its history, and tells a little bit about it. It's got a big old tank out there that's neat to look at up close. It's got an old M7 tank that's also pretty neat to look at, and you can buy brick pavers with your veteran's name on it. And so that's all that came about just right about the end of about spring of 21s, basically. And I think Veterans Day of 22, I think it was the first time we were able to have our Veterans Memorial Veterans Day program out there. But anyway, it's a great place and privileged to get to do that. Other things that we got done while I was in the mayor's office, the city was under constant threat from Department of Environmental Quality about the sewage lagoon situation, and it had basically broken down, wasn't working right. So we built a whole new wastewater facility over there, and so it's built such that as Ripley grows, it can grow with it, and it's still kind of amazing to think about. But the city of Ripley, all the things that are connected to our wastewater treatment plant, it's about 2 million gallons a day of sewer that gets treated down there. And so we're able to do that. We installed drive-by automated meters so that we could get the bills, get the meters read and get the bills turned out in time, and all new meters, so the accuracy went up. Got it so we could do online payments on the city's website, and then all up and down the highway and in the old square district, historic district, we've had, I don't know how many new businesses, but lots and lots and lots of new businesses have come to town. We attracted the attention of some, major national chains, and they invested in Ripley during that period. And there's still more to come. I know that I know we're getting a tractor supply, and there's other things that are coming that can't talk about yet. I'm still on the zoning board, so I kind of know about a lot of what's going on building wise and that sort of thing. So anyway, we've overseen just this tremendous amount of growth and development and investment in Ripley, and a lot of it had to do with the attitude of the mayor and the city council, pro business. Let's not have any more red tape than you absolutely have to. Let's allow things to come in, and that really worked for us. And then with the tournament coming in on the ballpark, it all just is really it's all still really working better than I even thought it would. Now there's yet more to do, as always, but I think that the current mayor and board are doing a great job, keeping that same attitude, and there's still more development that's happening. There's a lot more in the works, some really big projects, and so I'm excited about the future of Ripley and Tippah County.
One thing you did that made my life better, I don't do ball.
You don't play ball?
I don't play, and I don't go watch them play.
Okay.
I ain't sitting out on the bleachers. Other people love it, but I don't. I hate it when my kids was in it.
Yeah.
That just ain't my thing. But what you did that I remember when that gas line bursted.
That's right.
There was no time y'all had that going. I mean, you were right on it when we needed help. I mean, it was no time. It was, we were fixed.
That's
What
good to hear.
we had, I went to the doctor here a couple of weeks ago in another town. And I put on this GPS thing, and it says turn right on this street and turn right on that street, and you couldn't read the signs.
Mm-hmm.
You put up these really neat street signs in Ripley.
Mm-hmm.
You get in Ripley, you can tell where you're
That's
going.
right. That's right.
Yeah, we got really neat. You don't realize how much to appreciate that until you get where they don't have them.
Right.
They got these old signs, you couldn't read them, and you turn around and go back, and then, it was a mess. So I noticed you didn't mention those signs, but
No.
at the time, everybody thought they weren't necessary, but I'm going to tell you, good deal.
It's a good deal. There's so
Yes.
much that went on in 10 years, millions and millions and millions of dollars.
That's
worth of
right.
stuff. But we did build miles and miles of natural gas line to serve people that didn't have natural gas before. And of course,
People don't notice unless they live in the house that's getting it.
that's right.
They don't notice the work that goes into sewage and electricity and water.
That's
and
right.
They don't notice it. They don't see the work that's done.
Yeah.
Of course, we see them pretty signs, and we see
Yeah.
they see the
That's
ball
right.
the ball fields, but they don't notice the hard work that goes into keeping a town going. It's not as simple as it looks.
It's not. There's a lot to it.
So you're not through yet.
Well, I
You took a break.
took a little break. Well,
Bought the radio station.
Melinda and I, my wife, bought our 2 radio stations that broadcast out of Ripley. And I've said for a long time, Ripley's a very fortunate town. We've got a newspaper, 2 radio stations, and a TV station in town.
Yep.
That's rare for a town of our size.
Tell us about your 2 radio stations.
Well, one of them is Kudzu 104.9, and it used to be Kudzu 102. But the previous owners were able to buy the 104.9 signal, and it's a much stronger signal. And so we knew forever that we had a great radio station at Ripley, 102.3, Kudzu 102. But they said, well, boy, people would really love it if it would reach a lot farther. And so they made that move, and then on 102.3 turned that into the Shark, which is more pop, kind of, more rock and roll. So Kudzu is classic country, I'm sure most people know. And then the Shark is more classic rock pop hits type of stuff. So I personally have always loved those radio stations, and I've been very proud that they're here in town. And back in the end of 2018, we decided, and we talked with Scott and Joan, and they were ready to sell. And Scott passed away a couple weeks ago. Sorry to say, he's a neat guy, but we bought the stations from them and took ownership in April of 2019, and everything was really good, going great. What we have done basically is just gone through and upgraded all the old, just like what's happening here at the TV station. All the old stuff that didn't understand internet and couldn't work very well and all that's got to get phased out with newer stuff that does. And so use my experiences doing that kind of work to kind of rehab the station's infrastructure on the computer side, the IT side. And, Kudzu's a very strong, very popular station. It plays the good old classic country stuff, Waylon and Willie and Hank and Reba and Dolly and, all of our old favorites. And it's a strong signal, and there's a lot of people that they turn on. They don't ever turn Kudzu off. It's on in the car, it's on in the truck, it's on in the house, it's on at work, and that's just their station. And we have people from all over the world and all over the country that have downloaded the Kudzu app. And so our station, both of them stream. Whatever's on the radio here is also going out on the stream, and so they can listen on their app. And so we get calls from Alaska and Montana and Colorado and all around the world, really, of people that listen to Kudzu 104.9. And our goal is to highlight this great area of the country that we live in, because it's really fabulous. If you travel around and just look at all the dynamics, you're not going to find a place that's more perfect for raising families. We've got good schools,
right.
We've got affordable land, we've got good jobs, we've got good cultural and financial resources here in town, and Northeast Mississippi, Northwest Alabama, South Central Tennessee. It's just a little clique in the world of the same sorts of people, good folks, hardworking, church-going folks, and it's just, people that it really appeals to a lot of people. And so we're using it to promote our area of the world. The Shark is a smaller footprint. It's a smaller signal. And, well, what I want to say before I start talking about the Shark is Kudzu is great as it is, and our number one rule is don't mess with Kudzu. Let that country music play. And we do
people like country.
We do a bluegrass show on Saturday morning, which people ask for us to bring back. Brother Paul Adams and Mike Garrett do that faithfully every Saturday morning for 2 hours, 8 to 10. If you like bluegrass, which I do, you're not going to hear a better bluegrass show than what we have happening right here in Ripley, Mississippi every Saturday. They get listeners tuned in from all over the country. We have a new show that we've been doing for about 8 months now. It's called Century of Country Music, and there's a man named Jeremy Martin who you may know him from when he worked with Delbert Hoseman in that office, Secretary of State's office a few years back. Anyway, he's a classic country music buff, and so he's put together sort of a show that country music's been around for about 100 years, and so he puts together a show that kind of goes through the history, and he's got different themes and everything. That happens every Thursday night, 6 to 8. And then on Sunday mornings on Kudzu, we have the gospel show, and that's 8 in the morning till 11. Josh Sanderson runs that. He's the DJ, and he just does a fantastic job. It's a great ministry for him. He's reached out into the gospel music scene. There's new gospel happening all the time, and he gets them to record liners, and they send CDs, and so he's developed that into, and we gave him free rein. He's developed that into a great 3-hour show of really good gospel music, and we have 3 messages from 3 different churches that play on Sunday morning. And besides that, that's about what you're going to get with Kudzu. We're not doing anything else. But on the Shark, Melinda has begun to do interview shows. And every Monday through Saturday at 11 o'clock, there's some kind of a little 10-minute interview or talk show on the Shark. And they also get released a podcast for people that like to listen to podcasts. But she has gotten, on Mondays, there's a lady named Heather Tate who's a travel agent, and she can get the deals. If you like to travel and want to go somewhere for fun, or if you find out you have to travel somewhere, maybe you didn't want to, but you find out you have to, somebody passes away or something like that, she can help you get the plane tickets or the train tickets and the hotel rooms and all that. And so her show's really good. She talks about all the destinations that she and her family go to. Tuesday mornings is what Melinda calls Heard It on the Shark, and that's Melinda's own personal show. And, we can never be as good as Daryl's Little Corner, but you're our inspiration, because we want to try to reach into the community, and we serve a very wide area. So we serve basically all of Northeast Mississippi, And so she interviews people that, business owners and community leaders. So we've had hospital directors, and we've had community development directors and Main Street people, and all sorts of various leadership roles. Entrepreneurs, people that run their own businesses, small businesses, big businesses, and she just talks to them about what they're doing. And it's a very interesting show, and we've been able to meet a lot of really good people. And we like that we're highlighting all the smart stuff that's going on in backwards number 50, Mississippi. We're doing some really amazing things here.
Yes,
and we're just getting
yes,
kind of
well.
bogged down in, some bad press and some things that are just not true. But we want to highlight the good stuff that's going on here. So she does a great job with that.
Have you ever seen a time that you didn't get bad press?
Right. There's not. I mean,
It just happens.
that's the way it is.
People know.
It
They
sells
know.
papers or
They
sales.
look around. They drive around town. They know.
Yeah, it's really beautiful
Ripley
here.
is growing.
And our Main Street director and her board, and give props also to the Board of Supervisors and the Ripley Board of Aldermen for supporting that financially. But she's just really done tremendous things in the downtown of Ripley. It's just beautiful.
Yes.
It's just
Oh,
beautiful.
that new park is tremendous.
Have you been to the J.C. Nance Park?
It's
On Main Street?
tremendous.
Yeah, it's really
Tremendous.
beautiful. It's got a nice little easy walking trail around it.
Yes.
It's beautiful under those shade trees.
It's so nice.
So we've just got a lot of really great stuff going on here. So all those shows on the Sharp, we do, I don't know, Dr. Ricky Ford, who's the president of Northeast Mississippi Community College, he has a weekly podcast, and we air that on Thursdays. Miss Joyce Grady does a career and job readiness program. And then we get students from Blue Mountain College to come, and once a week they come and record a little program called Topper Time. And that airs on Sunday afternoon. But they talk about what's going on on the mountain, they call it, down at Blue Mountain. And so we've been able to do that sort of thing. Back during the pandemic, or whatever that was, we had a bunch of social restrictions, and I'm a big fan of music, always have been, all kinds of music. Just enjoy listening to it, and enjoy working in that, music industry. Running radio stations, get to listen to lots of good music. And so we have made friends with a lot of people that perform music. And so there's, in this same part of the country that we're in, a tremendous amount of talent. Lots and lots and lots of singer-songwriters, talented singer-songwriters, talented singers, talented creative people that make films and plays, and writers, and just a tremendous amount of talent around here. And during the shutdown, all of the people that play live music in venues around, those venues had to close.
Yes.
Well, people really missed just going out and just listening to some live music. And so we had, for 2 summers in a row, we had live music in our studio up there that we just put straight out on the air. And that was a lot of fun. So it's a live broadcast concerts that we did. We did 2 summers in a row, 10 weeks, and it was, a lot of work to get all that to happen. And people could come and just they would just sit out in the street, bring a lawn chair, and they just sit out and they could listen, because we would play it over the radio right there. And then they could see into the studio and watch the musicians performing in there. So that was fun, and something that we did. We really have a sense of responsibility to serve the audience that our signals cover, above and beyond playing the emergency alerts when the tornado's coming, but beyond that, but to engage with and be a part of the growth and prosperity and wellness of our communities that we serve. And so it's a great medium. It's a lot of fun. radio is still the number one bang for your advertising dollar, according to Nielsen, according to all the big research groups. Most people hear something on the radio sometime every week. A lot of people every day. There's a lot of people that we have found out. We tried a couple of special shows on kudzu, and our listeners called up and say, "When's this going to be over with and my regular kudzu comes back on?" Because that's what they want, and that's what they listen to. And so we just, you just get used to it, and so we know that we've got a very dedicated listener audience out there, and we're thankful and we're excited about it. And the radio business is strong. In my last mayoral term ended in June of 21, and we had been working 2 jobs, both of us, and it was fine. We were just doing fun stuff until that pandemic hit. But then things really got dicey, and it took both of us. Both of our jobs ended in 21, and it took all hands on deck to get us through to 22. When things really started opening back up and easing back up. But I couldn't have been doing anything else during that period of time.
Everybody.
It was
COVID. It's been terrible.
It was really tough on the whole world, and everybody has a struggle, and everybody did it. But the main thing for us was we just had to huddle up and work hard and pray hard and get through that thing. But we kept all of our employees.
Difficult.
We kept all the programming going. Kept those transmitters running, and just got through it.
It got harder to find guests, and for a while the TV station didn't. We didn't record.
Yeah.
Because most of that was due to sickness, and bad situation. And then when you crank back up, it's hard to get it going again.
I know.
But it is so much better. I know I have a lot of preachers on this program, a lot of them. And you can go in service, which I'd rather be in service than watching service. But you go in service and you preach to 50 or 100 people. You go on television and you preach to thousands of people, and now it's online. If you really want to get the word out, I think that, TV and radio, that's the way to go.
It is.
It's just the way to go.
It's a great technology, and of course we're moving quick to stay in. Everything that we do is streamed online, so everything, if you can hear it on the radio station, it's going out online, and so anybody anywhere can listen to that content.
We will be online.
Here?
Yes.
Before too long?
Yeah, what it is, the Jeter family program is online every Saturday night.
Live, isn't it?
Live. Well, if Tony misses Daryl's little corner putting it online, see, he has to listen to me gripe and fuss.
Right.
So I can pretty well tell you this will be online.
Okay, great. That's great. That's good for the world, for Daryl's little corner to be back in business.
Now, everybody else fend for themselves, but, he don't want to hear me fuss.
Yeah, that's right.
I call him all the time. I said, you put that online, I couldn't find it. But we've just recently started putting it online, and this is a new thing to us.
Sure. A lot to it.
We're real excited about it. And like I told you, I was the last holdout. I just thought it was terrible, but it's not.
You've come around some.
When you're old and you're set in your ways, you're just not changeable.
Don't want to change anything.
However, you fix and do something brand new.
Well, I'm looking at, I'm running for the Tippah County Chancery Clerk. I am.
Now that is exciting.
It is. It's exciting.
Would that be easier than mayor?
Ma'am?
Will that be easier to do than the mayor's
I don't
office?
know. I doubt it. Any job's got its good parts and hard parts and easy parts and.
Well, you got the whole building to yourself over there.
Right. There's a lot of room and
yeah, it's neat.
I feel like the Office of Chancery Clerk, of course, has to do with, the Chancery Court, which is a court of equity, which is all family matters and wills and estates and, adoptions and custody and all of that, goes through the Chancery Court. So the Chancery
So then
Clerk,
nobody likes you.
well,
Yeah.
it's one of those deals where usually they're not happy when they have
Yeah.
to come see you.
Yeah.
And whether side it's on, it
You
doesn't
won't
really
be
matter.
popular.
Well,
Forget that.
But also the Chancery Clerk in Tippah County is the clerk for the Board of Supervisors, and so I feel like I can help them. I know Mike Long has had a great relationship with the Board of Supervisors, and I would love
Mike
to.
Long did great.
I thought he did a fine job. I mean,
Yes.
he worked in that office a long time, and I would just want to maintain that. And if there's things that are inside of there that need improvement, that I can employ my expertise on anything, I want to do it. I've got a lot of friends in Jackson still, a lot of good contacts down there that we can leverage to get things done for Tippah County. If it's something that the board wants to get done and could use a little help, down there, got some contacts. I feel like we could kind of go the same way that we did for the city of Ripley, raising money, telling people what we need, and getting work done. I feel like we can do the very same thing for the county as a whole and all of our little municipalities inside of there. So there's a lot of money out there. And I always say this about grant money. I'm not necessarily in favor of the government printing out my money and passing it all around, but somebody's going to get it, and it might as well be us. And so if we can do something to get it and put in our communities, then let's do it.
Well,
And
that's
so
right. That's right.
we've been real successful with that in the mayor's office, and I feel like we can continue to do that sort of thing, but on a countywide basis. Now, as far as the ins and outs of that, it's mostly about paperwork and checkbook balance and moving.
Yeah, if anybody
things
gets
back
in trouble, that's who it is.
That's
Yeah.
right, because that you can't be
Yes.
messing wrong with that money
That's right.
because you get in trouble. So
What people need to understand, we get it in our head is because we've never held office, and we get it in our head, well, they take our money and they do this. Everything is audited by the state.
absolutely, that's right.
Every penny has to be where it's supposed to be. And there's no way that anybody in office can get by with pocketing your tax money.
Right, not for long. They may get away with it, but
Not long,
they're
that's
going
right.
they're going to get caught.
That's right. But the state comes in and audits, and they go over everything. I know my land was in two pieces, and then we joined it together, and I kept getting these papers that didn't look to suit me, and I thought, yeah, years from now, the state will audit that, and I'll lose my place because I can't pay the back taxes. So I stayed after them till they finally came out there and they said, Miss Daryl, your papers are right.
Okay.
It's
Well,
like,
you
how
got
dumb can I be? But I mean,
you got to stay on them, make sure that it's
Yes.
right. There's nothing wrong with that.
and that fella that retired, Ronnie Martindale, was so good.
Yeah,
And
I
I
like
made him,
Ronnie.
I kept on at Joe till he sent him out there. I told him, I said, I want him to come out there before he retires. I do his wife's perms.
Okay.
So I had a little
Well,
pool there.
that's right. You definitely
I
have.
told her, I said, he's got to come
you gotta
fix
get him
this
out
before he retires. And he came out and he reassured me that
Everything's okay.
everything be fine.
Well, that's the thing. County officials and city officials work for the people.
They do.
They're there to
They
help
do.
the people perform the tasks that government needs to perform to make everything run smooth. Law enforcement, and fire protection, and utilities in some cases, but not all cases. But just to do the work right, people's land, the property lines and all that.
Uh-huh.
If you mess that up, you can mess up a family.
That's
You
right.
can really hurt somebody. And so all of that stuff may seem minor, but it's very important that the stuff at the Chancery and Circuit Court levels get handled appropriately by somebody who's honest,
Absolutely.
and has been around and kind of knows how things work. And I feel like I can help our county tremendously. I feel like we can do some good things in that Chancery Court position. So.
And it doesn't matter where you planted the tree or where you walked it, or it's what's on the map
That's
down
right.
at the courthouse that matters.
That's right. That's right.
Tate and his brother walked my property off, and they drawed them a little map up, and they registered it, and then when we ran the lines, they had these flags in odd places.
Didn't match up exact. Well,
But
bless
it didn't matter. I mean, it's all family, you know.
Yeah, sure.
And I went back and talked to the nephew, and he said, "Hey, Daryl, we ain't caring what you do over there."
Right. Well,
But it just, we get things in our head about our officials that's not really possible.
that's true.
Because everything they do is
That's right.
checked.
Gets checked.
Everything.
That's right.
If they have a meeting and they sit and discuss something, it's on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And when the state comes in, they have access to that, don't
Sure.
they?
Sure. And all financial matters get reported to the state auditor's office, and most entities do an independent third party audit that gets submitted as well. They check everything out, and there's spending laws that have to be adhered to. Of course, I'm well familiar with all the public spending laws due to my time in the city, and so all of those things that are kind of a learning curve, I'm well past all that. So I feel like I can go in there and just about from day one start, doing the job and having.
Well, did they not send you to a little training course?
They do. There's a required training that I'll have to attend, and that'll be interesting to me. Melinda thinks I'm silly because I like to go learn new things, and so that'll be fun to me.
Does the Chancery Clerk have anything to do with homesteads?
That happens in the. I don't know where you file your homestead. I think it's in the tax assessor's office, tax assessor, tax collector.
I've been so many years till I don't know what they do now either.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things.
Things change.
Once you get it done, if you don't move, you don't worry about it.
That's right. That's
But I think
right.
that happens in the tax office. It probably gets recorded in one of the court docket books somewhere.
How many people work in the Chancery Clerk office, do you know?
I believe there's 3 or 4 of them in there right now, including the clerk.
Well, it's a lot of paperwork that has to be
It is.
kept up with, yeah.
A lot of paperwork to keep up with, and a lot of records that have to be protected, and that's a big thing. You want to protect them because there's privacy issues in there if you're
Yes.
dealing with families and children, and that sort of thing is privacy issues, and those records need to be protected from the wrong people looking at them. Then you just got the whole idea of you got to keep things on file, and you got to have your records protected. We don't think about it not much, but we had a little tornado went through town a few days back, and
Yeah, we did.
just think, you hate to think about it, but if you lose your records and you only got them in one place, of course I'm sure everybody's got numerous copies, and nowadays we can put things online or store them off site digitally and all that. But keeping those records is vitally important because people's lives are affected by what ends up getting recorded in a government record, whether it's at a city or a county or even at state level. So being astute about managing that is very important.
That's right. You know, some things, even though it's true, you don't want it public,
Right,
especially when you're dealing with children and
Right.
custody and
right.
that kind of thing. You know, people can be hurt.
Yeah, and also the Chancery Court deals with lunacy and drug commitments.
I get crazy, you gonna figure it out, huh?
So, so one of these days
I'm getting there.
they may bring you up to me. And
I'm on my way.
no, I hope that never happens. But those are private matters that need to be kept private. Is the thing we laugh and giggle about it, but
Yeah,
it's
I
no
wouldn't
laughing
want my
matter.
family embarrassed.
Yeah, right. And so you
You
got
know.
you got to keep track of those.
If
things.
I'm crazy, I won't care, but I'll care about my family.
Right.
I
Right.
wouldn't want my family to go through that. I was thinking, do you deal with life estates? That's where it's registered, isn't it?
In the Chancery
Okay.
Court office.
Do the heirs have to go to court to get their land if I die?
It depends on how the
I
estate
plan
is
on
set.
dying.
Yeah, well, one of
Not
these days
today.
we're all going to, but it depends on how the estate is set up. Your lawyer can build that thing lots of different ways, and it just depends on how it's set up as to what'll happen. So that's a legal question that I'm not qualified to answer.
I just wondered. They're also like the county treasurer, aren't they?
Right. So it's the clerk of the board of supervisors, and so there's a lot. I know at City Hall we had. It may seem silly, but we had about 40 checking accounts for various things, and you got to. You could say, well, the county's got $1 million. Why don't they do this with it instead of that? Well, there are certain monies for certain things, and you can't spend it on except for what it's supposed to be spent on, and then you've got to pay it out of the correct account into typically a clearing account, which then goes out to Max South for cable or Tippah Connect for internet, and wherever
That
they're
makes
sending
sense.
money. And so,
Yeah.
but all those accounts have to, you got to have that paperwork. And so, that just at City of Ripley, like I said, we had about 40. And I'm sure that there's that many or more at the county level. And so for the Board of Supervisors, when they take action on something, typically at some point there's going to have to be a check written, and that clears through at this point in Tippah County at the Chancery Clerk's office. So managing that money, those transactions, and keeping good records, and making sure that all questions can be answered appropriately is important. Because
Do you have to know that stuff off the top of your head?
They send you to some training,
Oh,
and there's good people working in that office already.
they already know what they're doing.
They
That's a good thing.
do. I mean, it's just like when I started as mayor, I didn't know a lot about things, but the people that were there knew their jobs and were doing a good job, a fine job. And so it's the same here at the Chancery Clerk's office. So I'm a pretty quick study, and been around a lot of stuff. So, and I'm looking forward to the training if I get to go. And so,
Well, did Mike Long decide to retire? Is he gonna?
yes, ma'am,
Well,
that's what I understand.
That's my understanding.
I wasn't
too.
going to run. If he was going to run, I wasn't going to run. But when
Well,
I heard
I
that he
think-
wasn't, I said, well, I'm going to throw my hat in.
Well, there's about 4 running,
Yes,
and I was thinking that he'd decide to retire.
that's correct.
Yeah, it comes a time in life.
Well,
It just does.
just get
And
ready to.
You work till you're just worked.
That's right.
That's what you do. That's what you do. Now,
right.
if somebody working in the office goofs up something, do they come after you or come after them?
Well, there's probably
The state's going to come after somebody.
if there's most government positions that handle money, have direct access to money, they purchase a fidelity bond is what it's called, but it's an insurance policy that covers that person up to X amount of dollars, whatever the size of the bond is, $50,000, $100,000. And so that the county or city or whatever, if somebody steals money, they can immediately call that bonding company and say, this person stole that money, we need that money back. And they'll put it back. But then the bonding company goes after the person who took the money for the money back.
Well, I wasn't thinking took. I guess that could happen, but
Then,
most our
but if
folks
you
are.
make a mistake,
Yeah.
which mistakes happen, but it needs to be very clearly an honest mistake. And typically, part of controlling the cash in a large organization is eliminating opportunities for mistakes to be made. Mistakes still get made, but you got to have a good system of checks and balances, and one and one's got to be two every time.
Yeah.
And so having
Well,
that sort of
it's
thing.
real easy though, where you're sitting at a computer all day long to hit a wrong button.
Sure,
I mean, that's an honest mistake.
it is absolutely.
And I just wondered about that.
So typically, those are going to get found out. I'm sure there's a monthly process where everything has to be cleared, but everything has to be balanced. You have a financial shutdown at the city. It was always, the bank statement end date is the date that all business stopped from the city, and we stop and add everything up. So I'm sure there's a day in the county, or maybe two, where you just stop and say, where are we at, and where should we be, and if it doesn't match, why not? Let's figure it out, and there's time to fix it.
I always remember the state comes in, they audit everything that's done.
That's right.
And not only can they not take your money, they can't use it for something that it's not supposed to be.
Right. If they do, I mean, they're going to go to jail. And pay the money back.
Don't look good in stripes.
No.
I'll forget that.
No.
No jail, no jail. But I just wondered about that. And anything that is done is done on record.
Right.
It's not, even if they didn't catch it today, they're going to catch it later.
Going to catch it eventually.
Yeah.
So all the business of the county and all the business of the court goes through that office, and there's well-established, good policies in place. Mike Long did a fantastic job of that.
Yes,
I know,
he did.
and I know there's great stuff in place already that shouldn't require any particular improvement. Everything's working fine, and so.
And people are always asking me where to go get something notarized. I don't notarize. But I think they do in the Chancery Clerk's office.
They do. There's a few notaries around. You can look up online where the notaries are in the state of Mississippi. Most lawyers' offices have a notary public. Most county offices and city offices have a notary public. Now, whether or not they allow the public to use it, it's up to the notary, really.
I remember I had something, been 25 years ago or longer, at least. But I had something notarized in the Chancery Clerk's office over in and they have that nice building over there where the bank used to be.
Right on the
Now,
corner.
that's pretty secure.
It is.
That's a good building.
It is.
It's not.
Good solid brick block building.
Yeah, it would take a lot to run that building.
That's right.
Because when they build a bank, back in them days, they built one.
There's a lot of poured concrete in there.
Yes.
That's right.
It's not like it's just a straight line wind's going to take it out of here. And I don't know of anywhere that would be any safer to have our records.
That's a good spot.
I think so. But I just wondered about that. But the clerks, do they check each other's work, or don't know yet, do you?
Well, I don't know,
Don't know
but
yet.
I would imagine that there's, I know that at City Hall, on the
I would
third of
want
the
somebody to
month,
check it.
on the third of the month at City Hall, lots and lots of bills are due, and lots of checks hit bank accounts. And there's a lot of business done at City Hall on the third every month.
Yeah.
And we had to add it up and close it out every day, and it had to balance, or we ain't going home.
I
So,
guarantee I wouldn't.
On big days
That's
like
a
that,
lot of responsibility.
you got to do it. And so I'm sure there's processes in place. If not, then, obviously that would be something to look at. But I'm sure there's processes in place. That when you're dealing with money like that, you got to have good cash controls, and you got to have good checks and balances, and so that things add up. And you got to have honest people. And I don't think we have any troubles there.
No, I don't think we do either.
So that's,
Them folks that work up there, they've been there a long time.
long time. Everybody's been in there a while.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Got
So
a
we're
lot of
lucky to have that.
experience.
Yeah, we're lucky to have that.
And I wanted you to come today. I wanted people to see that you have experience and that you're qualified, well qualified.
Well, thank you.
And running for Chancery Clerk.
Yes,
He's
ma'am.
done everything else. There's nothing else in town for you to do.
Well,
This is it.
I'm getting old.
This is it.
Sooner or later I'll be tired.
But he's very qualified. Chancery Clerk, Chris Marsalis. He gets things done. He got the sportsplex. He got the pipes and everything fixed. Got the street signs. We couldn't stop naming what he's gotten done for Ripley. So now we'd like for him to get the Chancery Clerk office.
Thank you, Ms. Daryl.
We are out of time. This is
Went by fast.
It goes fast. But don't forget now. And it's August the 8th. There's no Democrats running.
August the 8th, that's right.
Somebody told me that. There's only going to be probably that one if there's not a runoff.
Just the party primary on August the 8th, that's right. And it'll be decided that day or in a runoff 2 weeks after that. So
has that ever been before?
That's been true in a lot of races in the past. It used to be everybody ran as a Democrat, and so it would get decided in the party primaries. But now it's just switched over the other way, and anybody can go in on August 8th, and they can vote in whatever primary they want to. If they know where the people are running that they want to vote for, you walk in the door and tell them, I'm going to vote on the Republican ticket because that's where all the people are running. Go in there and do it. You don't have to register. You don't have to change. You don't have to do anything. You just go in there and vote on that Republican ticket in the party primary. And then in the general election, that's where the big race for governor is going to be, and other important races are going to be on the general. But in Tippah County for supervisors and sheriff and Chancery Clerk, all that's going to happen on August 8th, and it's going to get decided that day or 2 weeks after that day. So go vote on August 8th in that one, and let your voice be heard for Tippah County.
Chris Marsalis for Chancery Clerk. This is Daryl at Daryl's Little Corner. We appreciate you tuning us in. Tune us in again next Monday. Be sure and watch the Jeter Family program Saturday nights at 7 o'clock. See you next Monday at 7 for Daryl's Little Corner. May God